maybe they won't carry forward day to day. FURIA, they've had a nice rest this morning. They've had time to prepare. This is their one game for today. TSM, they've already been through one. They had a great win against NIP, probably a little unexpectedly quick. Now they're coming in against FURIA. Let's see how quickly they can turn this around.
The bans to start with are really interesting for this map. Maverick, not seen super often on this map, but with it being banned away, it does make the downstairs site a bit more viable. The Finker ban is one targeted against TSM coming out of FURIA, for the sole reason I imagine that we saw Bolo playing on it earlier on and having an absolute field day. Also gave him a little bit of bother last time around these two teams played, so we're just saying we'd rather have that off the board, force you across onto the Iana instead. And we go forward from there. Defender-sided bans are everything you come to expect these days. You know, it's not Wamai, it's Valkyrie. If it's not Valkyrie, it's Mira. If it's not Mira, that's basically it. Those are the three bans that we just see seemingly. Maestro, we've seen banned like once, twice, maybe.
A couple of times, but
Echo, we've seen banned away once. It's any spicy defender bans?
It's Valkyrie Mira, bless them.
What have we seen on defense?
Two operators I love to play as well.
We saw Mute target ban yesterday, which was quite fun.
Can hear everybody out there going, yeah, you love to play him because they're so powerful.
That's it, mate.
Yes, I do.
You broke him.
Yes, I do. Right, we're going to be going down to basement, Des.
It's almost like I called that with the ban coming through, right?
It is. We're going to be going down to basement to start things off. FURIA on the defence. This is a site that we've seen sort of hit and miss for the defenders so far. We've actually seen attackers struggle to get plants down here, and it seems to be becoming a little bit more viable. I'm interested to see my particular focus, and I encourage everybody at home to watch along, is where do the breaches go? What breaches are we getting played? Which walls are going to be destroyed? Is it going to be the snowmobile wall? Is it, thank you very much, Sano, is it going to be the, where am I going, trench wall? Or is it going to be, see, he was ahead of me anyway.
I wasn't sure if you were confused by yourself then, or if you were trying to bait him. Like, oh, are we going blue? We're going a bit of trench today, are we?
Or is it going to be the big garage wall at the bottom of Westminster Stairs? Or a combination, 2 or 3 of them? Yes. I would expect to see, there's one factor in here that needs to be played out by the defenders and considered by the attackers, and that is, are they holding on to Dining Hatch? If they're holding on to Dining Hatch, attackers have got to go and clear it, and then they can worry about pushing into site. I've not seen anybody from FURIA inside of Dining so far, so I'm not sure that they're actually holding on to that. So that gives TSM a little bit of breathing space, and they are straight in looking to open that snowmobile wall.
Cozy job done. As said, the Iana's coming out here with the Finker band away. They're not going to be able to play that, so you'll see quite a bit of Iana, I imagine, coming into this. Again, an interesting kind of step back for TSM, where it's Mert playing on these entry-based operators. Bolo stepping back more towards the flex. The change they made was making Mert the IGL and stepping him into a more passive position, but you can't afford to be passive against Fantasy. A good trade coming in, 1-for-1 in the early round.
Still a big operator to a loss achieved on the sledge, not able to utilise either of those grenades that he's got, and that is definitely going to be a loss. Bolo takes a little bit of damage in that fight as well. Fantasy almost had himself 2 there, but a spirited start, I will call it, between these two, both getting in there and looking to do damage to the other. Bolo needs to be careful, he's got a man above him there, and there's a hole in the floor that's going to allow Highs an angle onto that window, so certainly something Bolo needs to consider. Highs has just backed away for the time being. I think he's just double checking. He's got angles opened up onto both windows here. Could be a cheap second kill for FURIA.
Could be, depending on which window he goes in through. But I think Bolo, as soon as you... Oh, no. No. Oh, at the perfect time, he gets concussed out. Unlucky, I guess. Bolo just had his number. He just knew.
I think he knew exactly what was coming, but so did Red, as he's going to take the head off Merc, and that leaves us now 4 versus 3, and FURIA are looking pretty good. Time has ticked by, 2 minutes have been burnt. They've still got Highs on the top floor who can come back on a flank, let's not forget. Open the bottom of West Main Stairs. I like that from TSM. It gives them the option to completely cut off the wine play. They can't move around here now. Once they clear pillars out, that should be TSM's, and they can start getting access into the plant spot. They're opening trench wall as well. I like what I see, Des.
Last smoke coming out here from Lender, so this is where things just start getting spicy. Bolo first trying to remove the shield will be successful. It understands there's going to be one inside the blue, and he would be correct. Lender and one other sat currently, I believe it's Miracle, inside of Connector. So a bit of a double stack going on inside of there that does enable them to challenge onto both the south breach and also up towards the north. But Tim, with 20 seconds on the clock, they've got to get a bit of a move on. Charlotte finding one, Bolo a second. It's all come online in the matter of seconds here as Miracle bounces back. Now down goes the other one. Gio's fallen to the floor. Bolo's left in a 1 versus 2. But can he find the last man? Can't see the swing. The man's outside. He must know about that, but can't do much about it. He can't full sprint, sadly, Tim. Oh,
Nice.
I was nervous for a second.
What are you doing to me?
Tim's like on the floor having a heart attack here. You can't do that to him on Valentine's Day.
Oh, you've got 4 seconds left to go. Why are you peeking that? Don't be doing that to me. Fury are going to take the round. I tell you what, it was a great attack from TSM, and that's exactly... Do you remember I was speaking about this attack the other day, Des? And I'd commented that when FaZe were defending it, they'd had success because Cyber had been able to move around in wine and pop around with the shotgun because they hadn't opened up at the bottom of West Main stairs, so they didn't have the angle through to cut it off. Well, TSM did, and it showed us that with just 3 operators on the attack, you can take on a bigger force and still get into a position to potentially plant. FURIA did well, they stood up tall and they got themselves a couple of kills, which was what was needed. But there's a different timeline there where TSM just find those picks and go in and put the diffuser down. It is absolutely possible. Once you clear pillars out, you need 2 men to just stay in trench corridor. 1 watches towards connector, 1 watches towards blue, and they can do nothing inside of sight. So long as you've got a flank drone on West Main, you pretty much can't be flanked unless they drop the hatch into Big Garage. But again, you should have that covered with a Claymore, with an air jab, with another drone. You know, you should have that information to hand for the 2 players that were dead, feeding it back in. It was nice from TSM. It just fell short.
What I did actually really enjoy were those vertical holes, right? Even Bowler was aware of them for quite a while over the top of West Main. You can get that cheeky little angle straight down to just shy of the double wall leading in from the north side, but ultimately not used too late in the round. It was more in the early trying to deny entries in through the windows. Baron Gaming, arguably the go-to site on this map, as we've spoken about many, many times, is where we're going to head to in round 2. Merc did 6-pick away from the Twitch into the Nook. Now, if undetected, I imagine on the side of Fury there could be a little bit of nervousness here. They also swapped out last second and brought along highs on the Warden, maybe expecting that to be a pick into a Ying, or just in general to deal with the flashes that are coming out of the Habana. A few teams have been bringing along Warden because they want the shield and they kind of don't really have any other operators to play. You've got a smoke who's already doing it for you. What else do you want to play in that instance? Achieve getting the entry. But I think here what we've seen from TSM, we saw it in our first series earlier on, NIP did it as well. They bring along the C4. I don't know if it's a really strong LATAM thing since a lot of LATAM teams seem to be doing it, but it's a growing thing we're seeing so far in the tournament.
Furia then at a disadvantage here. This time it went the other way. Last time Fantasy was able to pick up Achieved as the opener, but this time he gets his revenge and gives his team the advantage. TSM still need to clear out this top blue stairs position. This is going to be their priority pretty much now because he's helping the man stay on mezzanine. So once one of those goes, both of them likely fall. So it's all about trying to remove Miracle's shield in front of him, and that's exactly what starts happening. The utility will start raining in. They clear that shield out. It means Miracle has to play this position much more passively, and TSM can get aggressive then onto mezzanine. Miracle just taking pot shots through the soft wall there, seeing if he can catch anybody out in office. It's always worth it. They're not short of bullets, but he won't get anybody on this occasion. Halfway through the round, TSM, I won't say stalled out, but just taking their time.
They're starting to get all their pieces in order here, Tim, to make a play. Yeah, I'm looking towards Merc, who's now just moved his way into lobby, by the way. He can probably really upset Highs here, who's sat at the top of library stairs. Bolo finds one, and sure enough, Merc has got him behind him. He had no idea he was there. And like that, mezzanine has been blown wide open, not seen on the default cam inside a lobby, and they didn't know this pick was coming because it was a Twitch originally. Good play from TSM and showing how you can use the sick pick to upset the defenders.
Beautiful play from the Knock there, using the ability perfectly and just getting back in behind that troublesome mezzanine spot silently to deal with it. 5v2, and it's looking good for TSM, but 45 seconds left to go. That man once again, Miracle. Furia might need one of those inside of this round to win it, but he gets the first kill. He knows exactly where somebody's positioned up above. Lender just managing to avoid a death there. Miracle needs
both on 1 HP
in here. The nade comes out and downs him. He just didn't make that attack, and he might wish that he'd got a little bit more aggressive. Lender finds one, but that will be all as Bolo gets the trade, and that is going to be TSM taking round number 2. We are 1-0, and I feel like this is going to continue. I think this is going to be a very close game between these two and hard fought.
Absolutely. Again, I know we've touched on it in the middle of the round, but big props to the side of TSM for the work that Nook did there. Completely unexpected and clears out Mez. That gives them much more comfortable control of Library. You haven't got to worry so much about Library stairs. You can just force the man back. Chances are he'll drop away of his own accord, knowing that he is completely unsupported. They've done a bit of a switcheroo here and baited things around. What they're going to do instead is take the Nook away and bring in the Twitch. So, looking to keep FURIA guessing. I'm not sure if Lender's change away from the Jaeger onto the Melusi is in response to that, because of course, whether you're invisible to cameras or not, if you step inside range of one of those Banshees, they're going to make a lot of noise and slow you down, which would leave the Nook a sitting duck. The Twitch, a little bit less so, able to help clear out a bunch of utility around the map.
Top floor then, we're likely to see TSM try to get themselves established inside a library and on office balcony, breach the wall near the little half wall inside of office and move in for a plant there. Alternative attack would see them coming in from the solarium side, taking control and moving into master bedroom by controlling the double window inside of master bedroom. But I've got a little bit of a library feeling here for TSM. I think they come in from that side. It's a little bit easier to get boots on the ground, particularly. You can see there's a lot of utility over towards that solarium side. There's 2 laser gates on the windows, there's barbed wire down. Very difficult to get in there.
Really going for it. And you see this hold sometimes, right? It's either this one up here or you're really trying to lock down inside a library. If you're trying to do both, you're spreading yourself quite thin and it should be more comfortable for TSM to break one open. At the minute you've got Highs on the south side of the map who's holding out towards library. Don't imagine he'll be down there for all too long. He'll pull back at some point because all their focus is indeed going up towards that north side. Rare rotating underneath. He's trying to stop the man coming in through the trophy window. Don't know if they'll listen him on a drone at this point either, but if they come vaulting in, that could be where our first kill in the round steps through, Tim.
Certainly could be interesting to see TSM going for this solarium-sided push. It's one that I always enjoy, the yellow ping there. Just going to try to give away the position of Rare, but he manages to escape. But the Hounds are here, and they have found him. But here comes Fantasy to the rescue! Manages to shut down Merc and Bolo on a big flank there. The Aruni absolutely destroying 2. A very late trade from Achieved, but the damage may be done. 3v3.
Let's look at what they got rid of here, Tim. They got rid of the shock drones coming in from Merc. They're now static and they can, of course, use information, but they shan't be zapping anything. Bolo also gone on the Zofia, so any leftover utility gone, as well as the man who's currently dropped 5 kills throughout the game. It's a pretty good trade overall, given the Aruni and the Mute have already got all their gadgetry deployed as well. May have dropped with a C4 in back pocket on the side of the Mute, but not the end of the world. For TSM, though, they have 2 minutes to play in a 3 versus 3. I quite favour those chances, to be honest with you, Tim. They've still got the 2 nades in the back pocket of Achieved here as well, who can do some damage from below onto those playing above. So a chaotic start, but one that I don't think has really had either team coming off too badly, to be honest. I'd say all things are equal come the end of it.
I would say so. And now FURIA, they're going to try to hold on to this top floor. They're turtling down. They've got themselves back to sight, and they know that the pressure is coming from that North Solarium side. TSM just taking the step of rappelling in now. I'm pretty sure they've got one with boots on the ground instead of Solarium, so things could get a little bit difficult. You got to watch the double window. Achieved managing to almost, I don't know how he's missed his shots there, Des. He's actually taken. I looked across expecting somebody on FURIA to be half health, but no, it was the Melusi of Lender that got away with it, but getting away with nothing is Highs as Charla shuts him down. Lender, I don't know why you're peeking that double window. It's not going to end well. Geo is in, getting the diffuser down. It's all falling apart for FURIA. It's all up to Lender, gets one. Achieved is just going to stay on that window until the end of time now. Geo was unable to get the diffuser down. 20 seconds left. Lender could force a play here.
I think he thought so on the other side as well. No, they know exactly where he is. This swing could be absolutely huge.
They don't.
He doesn't know about the man going in for the plant here. They see him now. They do get the shutdown. It was a matter of pixels for them to see him around the back of the wall to get the closeout. But my God, he could have played massive spoiler there, Tim.
Oh, Lender's movement there just took him out of where TSM thought he was going to be. And it just looked on our screen like there was a glimpse of the top of the head of the Hibana. I mean, there's a couple of things going on that you've got to remember here. Very important. The silhouettes help us massively. We know exactly where Geo is. So 3 pixels are blindingly obvious to us because they're inside that red silhouette. But also, the players obviously can be on different setups in terms of screen ratio and everything else. So it may well be that the visual to them may be slightly different to the one we have here. So either way, Lender missed his man. Geo able to close it out. And for a second there, I thought FURIA might grab that one. But TSM lock it down with a good attack. And they find themselves 2-1 up now and starting to find a little bit of breathing space, maybe.
Just a little. It's not going to be absolutely earth-shattering if they come out this half at 4-2. I know currently at SI this is a pretty balanced map at the 50-50 mark, but historically many would look at it and say, hey, attacker-sided map. One thing you kind of have to consider when talking about map stats as well is exactly what teams have played on them, right? Like, it's all good saying, you know, oh, this map's got a 80% defensive win rate. If that sandbox getting slapped about by a team in their group a couple of times, that can skew those stats quite heavily. So I'll still lean towards this and say TSM are hoping to come out with at least 3, ideally 4. FURIA will not feel too beat up if they're down on the count coming into the second half, because that's when they'll really get to shine on the attacking side of things.
Okay, then we're going to go to kitchen and dining for round number 4. FURIA hoping to lock it down, and we'll be doing much the same as the last round, and that is keeping hold of this top floor. You can see the utilities all in place, reinforcements, walled in aisle. We've got the electricity from Rare just positioned on that office wall. We've got a shield on piano, barbed wire, verticals. Everything is about this top floor and holding on to it for as long as possible. This time TSM have got themselves in from the library side, and I think they're going to be looking to sweep across very, very soon, but they will come across some stiff resistance. That is big though. The Twitch drone able to sneak past Fantasy and take out the electrical.
He's starting to take some pressure now as well. Doors being smacked up, the library hallway's been clear, they can get the breach opened up. So much starting to work against Fantasy that sure enough, he will have to dip away, gets himself up towards the north, not overstaying his welcome. Just glad that he's burnt through a couple of drones and wasted a chunk of time.
It's going to keep holding the angle on the piano here, and if TSM aren't aware of this, it's going to be very risky for them to push forward, but they're doing the office door at the same time, which is the smart play. That obviously opens up his flank, so he has to dip away from that. TSM doing very well here, Des, at forcing FURIA out without actually risking lives. This is all about jostling for position, and I love how they are doing it. They're just putting FURIA in unwinnable positions and forcing them to dip away.
It's really smart as well. Achieved has been kind of the drone bearer for the team at this point, making sure his team knew what was ahead and preserving the drone at the same time. Something not a lot of teams do very well, I think, is keeping drones alive. They'll just let themselves chew through them and go, ah, well, it got shot out, let's get another one in the mix. Although they're down 5 so far, they're still doing good work. Fantasy, though, still finds a way to get the opening kill onto the man I was just heaping praise on, only for Highs to step in and get a second. TSM are down 2, and they don't have full top floor control. Fantasy into a double, a 4v2, and it's Merc and Gio have got to pull this off in the next 45 seconds, Tim.
Despite being pushed across that top floor almost at will, FURIA have done a great job of wasting time. They've held on for long enough, and they've taken up about 2 minutes before TSM really started getting any kills here. They now find themselves with a man advantage. It's 4 versus 1.
Cover.
3 versus 1 effectively as Fantasy is down, but with Merc not yet inside of the building and only 24 seconds left to go, Miracle and Rare, they're going to be pretty confident here that they can get this job done, because Merc has to go in and find these kills. They can just hold angles at this point. You can see everything is raining in towards him. He was running a real gauntlet there, and it's ultimately Rare that shuts him down. 2-2 on the scoreboard.
Really well played by FURIA. Right? We commend TSM for good drone work, but for the good drone work to take place, there really has to be a team that's matching that reaction on the other side, right? As they got droned out, as the pressure started to build, they slowly pulled their way back towards Solar Stairs, and rather than completely giving up on top floor and saying, hey, let's get back downstairs, let's work our way through Trophy and be back on site ready for the assault to start. No, they kept a couple of them playing around that top floor and just stepping into the pockets that TSM weren't checking. And sure enough, Fantasy finds itself a big 2K, a third one comes through, leaving only Gio and Merc in isolation to try and close it out. And sadly, there wasn't enough time for them to get anything done. So a very good defense by FURIA. Good resistance being shown without overexposing themselves.
Round number 5, we head into and back down to the basement. This was a site that won by FURIA back in round 1. It's the first time we're going to see them return there. They could have gone back in the last round, but chose not to. We've actually seen a full rotation of all 4 sites from FURIA. It's something I like about Chalet at the minute, is we are seeing plenty of time for all of the sites. Opening up the dining hatch this time. They didn't really play anybody up there last time around. It was sort of roaming further around the map. It was Highs up on top floor and trying to be difficult from there. This time they're going to open that. I think Fantasy's going to play inside a dining, and it just means that TSM have to spend time going to clear him out. They have to risk lives going to do it before they can start pushing in towards rear, if that's what they choose to do again.
I don't think their ideas on the last attack were overly bad, to be honest with you.
TSM played it really well.
It did, yeah. I mean, it came pretty close. It was down to the 1 versus 1 in the close, which was forced largely by the clock. If you remember, you had that momentary heart attack as he backed himself in towards the doorway, and Bolo could have won the 1 versus 1. But just about managed to dodge things out. So TSM haven't got to correct too much to get this right, which is why it then invites the side of FURIA to bring some new ideas, do something a little bit different. They're still doubling down on Mute and Mozzie. 2 C4s being on side, heavy information denial is definitely a smart play.
Got to hit that drone, Miracle. Need to be taking them away. Still 9 left on the side of TSM. What a ton of information, Des. You commented on the drone in last round, and it's going to be more of the same. FURIA going to be under an immense amount of pressure, I would imagine, here, and it's already building onto Miracle. He knows that somebody's just knocked out the barricade next to him, so he's going to be keeping a close eye on that. But for the time being, TSM are playing into this roam. Fantasy, if you remember, I pointed out playing in Dining. He's going to take a ton of damage there and needs to be very careful about when he drops this hatch back to site.
For sure. I mean, with the breach being opened up, it was the same last time. It just gives the... I often speak about it, this kind of idea of phantom pressure. You know, no one's actually playing on the window that's been opened or the doorway that's been smashed open or the breach that's been opened up. They've all rotated off. But FURIA don't know that. They're in a position where if someone is there and we ignore it, guess what? We're getting shot in the back and they're cleaning through us like anything else. It'd be far too easy. So you've always got to be mindful of it behind you, even when no one's there, hence the whole phantom pressure. It's not real, but it kind of is at the same time.
That's it. It's a smart move for a little bit of utility. We see it with the defenders quite often. They'll slap a mirror window on a wall and not play anybody behind it. But it
or just punch a hole in the barricade, right?
It just
Some
takes
things like
you
that.
a minute and a half sometimes to actually be confident that that's not a problem. Bolo, he is a problem. Oh, managing to shut down Lender, gets himself a second onto Rare, and Bolo might have just split this defense wide open with those 2 kills. 5 versus 3 and plenty of time on the clock. Fantasy and the rest of FURIA are all pushed back to site. Does he react quickest? He does not. Merc able to lock on, takes a ton of damage from the shotty, but not enough. And this could be a flawless round for TSM. Miracle, last one alive. Bolo's already successfully peaked this twice. Does he get away with it a 3rd time? He shoots down the concussion grenade. It's going to force Miracle out. He takes a lot of damage in doing it. Gio able to start getting that diffuser down.
Gets the one shut down, but Gio will be able to stick this plant by the looks of it, and not a lot the Miracle can do from this position. A 1 versus 4. I'd hate to be playing against Bolo knowing what side of the bed he woke up on today. He was ferocious in the series earlier on today, and he's proven to be the same once again. A speaker that's a bit of a caster curse. I do apologise. Down he goes, a 1v3 Miracle. He's got about 15 seconds to play with here, Tim. I'm going to say that's nowhere near enough to be able to get 3 kills and stick a defuse, so it's looking unlikely, and TSM should be going back into the lead once again.
You would expect so at this point, especially on such low health. Gets himself another one. It's likely an impactless kill. He's got 7 seconds to do something here. Chalet shuts him down, and that is TSM taking the round and going 3-2. FURIA, they, I think, will be wanting this last round. They know that it gives them a little bit of an advantage. I think we're going to have a FURIA side that are very confident coming into the attack of Chalet.
Absolutely. I mean, given how things have started out here, you're seeing Fantasy playing with confidence today, right? Miracle, sort of the same story. 2 players at least that are ready to step up and take a fight to the side of TSM, which is great because Bolo is also stepping up and doing exactly the same. Achieved a little bit quieter than what we saw in the series against NIP earlier on, but I think against NIP they were never really challenged too much out on the roam, right? Like NIP were generally quite static and let them do what it is they wanted to do in relatively good amount of time. Sometimes they did delay them, but it definitely wasn't guaranteed. So Achieve could shine, moving freely as he wanted to, smashing floors open for fun. In this game, although he's 5-3, it's not quite the highs that we saw earlier on. And it feels like a really critical thing. The man's got a kill per round. That's the kind of guy who sits in the TeamSpeak or the Discord or whatever and is like, I got my one. Fresh to a T.
Certainly has got his one so far, as you say. Maybe not quite as impactful as we've had previously, but you know, I've been singing the praises of Achieved so far, and I'm sure that that will continue. I say he's certainly had a solid game thus far, but like you say, TSM maybe just looking for a little bit more out of this round, particularly looking to get themselves, stretch their legs, really get that that advantage before going into the defense, because as I said, I think they're going to have a tough time of it. FURIA bringing along the Frost, just throwing them down on a couple of windows there, making it difficult to guarantee that TSM can get themselves safely inside of the building. Haz is playing an aggressive line here for Master Defense as well. We usually see the mezzanine position played in relation to Bar and Gaming, but not as often when you're talking about a Master hold. It's just really signalling that we're going to try and hold on to Library.
As we spoke about before, right? You can hold on either side. You can hold it towards Solar or down towards Library. Just depends where you want to commit the bulk of your resources. And Library side looks pretty light right now. So as Chalet and Bolo starting to look at working their magic on that side of the map. On the other, no one getting set up just yet, but I do imagine we'll see a couple of TSM members look to focus over that side too. You got Mert looking towards lobby, indicating this should be an office side push. They want that wall opened up. May rotate one over a bit later on. Bolo once again finding another entry. It's the Bolo versus Fantasy show at the moment, Tim, and Bolo is on top.
It really is. That was down to good droning again. We've already picked up on it for TSM. There was a yellow ping there to say Fantasy's playing inside of there. You've got him trapped. And it was easy for Bolo to just wait for the man to move across. Gets the kill. Rare downed as well. And it's looking good for TSM to take the advantage here in the attacking half. 5 versus 3. And that was Merc that was able to finish that kill off. So TSM, you should have a lot of map control now. You can see ahead of you FURIA. All those blue silhouettes have been forced back to site or beyond, and it's now up to TSM to start opening up and to gaining access to site.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're in a 5 versus 3, you should not be giving away rounds like that, right? We know that the conversion rate of rounds where you get the entry is generally between 70 and 80%. If you get the opening 2, and one of those is a C4, you've got to be screaming from start to finish. They've got a lot of time to work with here, Tim. 75 seconds. Miracle, Lender, and Highs can be doing what they can. Lender and Miracle are currently grouped up together, whereas Highs, I think, is still playing on the downstairs, waiting for potential nades to come in from below. Again, we know that TSM have been playing like that Achieve loves his frag grenades, and they could come singing in at a moment's notice. He, though, is off playing towards the doorway of office. Miracle holding onto the angle, knowing that he'll be stepping in as the rest of the utility comes flying in. They clear everything out. Miracle completely full flash. Got to hit the deck here and try and stay alive. It's looking a bit dicey, Tim. 40 seconds to go.
Lender trying to find a tight angle there through onto the plant spot. We've got Highs on a run out. That could be big. Des manages to pick up Merc, but what it also does is screams to the rest of the team. There's 30 seconds and we've got somebody on the flank. Miracle finds one onto Bolo. Could not be better timed. 3v3 and TSM should be worried about Highs. It doesn't matter that he's come up the solarium stairs. It's the fact that he could be anywhere, although they may have flank drones that will just help them to avoid those concerns. The plant is going down from Geo, and this angle needs to be challenged. It's unsuccessful.
Chalet!
Chalet goes big with a double. Geo manages to find himself the...
Yeah. Did you put them up there at all? I guess it's a bit early to tell. We should wait until the second half, right? But they were, at the end of the day, first coming out of their group.
FURIA are always very difficult to place because they're unpredictable. In that sometimes they'll struggle to close games out. I've spoken about this. They'll get themselves to 6 rounds and then just struggle to shut it down. You never really know from FURIA. I think what I will say is if FURIA play their best siege, I don't see any reason why they can't get into, like, you know, the top 8 or beyond. But they need to be consistently playing their best siege. That's what I would say for FURIA. They need to not lose it for themselves. You know, if they can just come in here and play to their ability, then yes, absolutely they could be a contender.
All right, well, let's see how the second half goes down then. The Oryx on side for TSM. Achieve picking that one up to get things off. In fact, it's a very different lineup overall. Outside of, say, the Smoke and the Malusi, generally looking very different. Not forgetting that when FURIA were on the defensive side, they had the Mute, the Mozzie, looking towards the Intel denial. There is absolutely none of that coming out of TSM, instead preferring to lean towards wall denial in the form of that Kaid.
See how Rare and FURIA choose to play this one then. They've a little bit of presence round at the Snowmobile garage, but Rare's actually just going to duck away from there. So I think they're maybe not too keen on trying to clear out that electrical. He's going to go and drone in from main lobby for the time being, but it's all about supporting this top floor clearance at the minute. Merkin achieved all the way up there, and they definitely need to be sent back to site, because one of the big problems with attacking onto the basement is the opportunity for flanks, whether that be if you're in main lobby trying to play down the stairs, or if they're coming down west mid, it's always a problem. And there you go, achieved, stepping up. Merc as well. What a duo up on the top floor. Lender manages to get Merc, but Bolo gets in on the action, and TSM, they're going to start running away with this, Des.
Merc was undroned as well behind the half wall. The drone went straight past him into Piano, got shot out by Achieved on the Oryx, and that was enough. Highs was like, okay, I know where the guy is, not thinking there could be a second one. I should probably check those corners, and they pay the price for it. That said, he did almost lose out in that gunfight. Does walk away, walks away dead in the end, of course, but he was down to about 10 HP, so almost whiffed it.
Miracle trying to use the hatch here just to get some sort of advantage down into sight, but it's just a tight angle. You can't work all the way around that hatch. Going to put a couple of those SAM cams into the floor. That's going to give some verticals potentially.
Both
we can see
already.
Highs is on there. He's having
they're not the quietest though in the world.
They're not, and it's just about spotting them sometimes. Miracle's going to collect that diffuser. They need to try and get something going here. 58 seconds left to go. FURIA don't look close to a kill, and TSM have done exactly the right thing, Des. They've just fallen back to side. Yep, that's no problem. We're going to sit here and hold our angles and wait for you to try and do something. Thank you very much.
Little update for you on the other stream, by the way. Map 1 is already over. Liquid 7-2 in phase, taking 5 rounds on the defense and then going into winning 2 on the attacking side. So a great start for Liquid in that series, which many would have expected. Miracle wants to try and push it on towards blue. Almost wins it out, but unfortunately can't do that. Lender elsewhere finds achieved. Leaves him all alone versus 3. Him lonely inside a snowmobile garage, held down from blue, from the other side, from Connector, steps out, and Gio has the side angle as well as Bolo. The two of them taking those gunfights at the same time ensures Lender goes down and TSM take another round, 5-2.
At this rate, it seems like TSM and Liquid are absolutely hell-bent on catching us up with our schedule, Des.
Many would have favoured that to be a semi-final or even the grand final.
Yeah, the phase Liquid, absolutely. I've predicted
TSM versus
TSM
Liquid as well.
Yeah,
it's heading that way if it's carrying on.
It could be. And what a matchup that's going to be. Honestly, there's so many mouth-watering prospects when you look forwards in this tour.
They would play on Thursday, I want to say.
Nobody plays.
No, plays on Wednesday. Sorry, I'm a liar. I meant Friday. But Wednesday, these guys would play. Yeah, what a game that would be. Wow.
It really would. So, yeah, Liquid is an interesting one. I predicted Liquid, and I thought they might. They just seem to have been a next level above most teams at the minute, looking dangerous, and FaZe have been hit and miss. So there we go. That's map number 1. See if there's going to be any improvement in map number 2. If I remember the maps right, that map number 1 was Clubhouse, so that's the Liquid win. And then they go into Oregon, which is a Liquid map through and through. So FaZe have got their work cut out now.
They're not going to have a good time, that is for sure. It's really interesting looking back at history and thinking, Mexico Major, dominated by Team 1, already out in group stage. Sweden Major in November. Won by FaZe, now not looking super hot.
I love it.
It's really interesting how you get those changes so quickly as well. We don't really see, someone actually asked this question, I think the other day on Twitter, they were like, will we ever see a G2 level dynasty? Will we see 2 back-to-back World Championships won? It's looking hard, isn't it?
If you remember, I said dominance within Siege now, because the bar has been raised so much, dominance within Siege to me looks like winning 2 major events in 1 calendar year.
Yeah.
If you can win the Invitational and another major, or 2 of the majors, I think I would class that team as dominant.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you're talking about like a ridiculous level of performance that I just don't think we're going to see because of how deep the pool is now. But back to the game at hand. Round 8, FURIA 2-5, struggling against TSM here. One of the big hopes of North America, and it's another one of those rat plays. This time it's Murky pops up from the Bapters, and he sends them into a spin as he manages to get that kill. Fantasy taken down as well. This is just becoming one-sided at this point. FURIA have lost their heads here, Des. It's 5 versus 2. It's less than a minute into the round.
Someone's definitely said first to 20 gets drinks bought from at the end of the day, because Bolo and Merc are racing towards that finish line right now. The early round is entirely owned by that pair. And Bolo, it's worth mentioning, is playing with the SMG as well. Not the SMG, the FMG. Playing here with the Smoke. We saw this earlier on today from them, where we commented, you are seeing some of these more entry-esque players, or the ones that like to get out in the map playing Smoke, because great gadget, got a shield for what the team needs, also got a great gun in the form of the FMG. You can switch over to playing on the SMG for when you need it. Too many MGs in here for me, Tim.
Lots of MGs. Lots of MGs being put to use by
GG soon.
There's going to be plenty of those as well. There's going to be at least 10 of them in the server if this continues as it's looking like it will. Highs is going to dump a nade in there, but TSM have already dropped away in time, so no damage done. Another kill comes in. It's going to be achieved this time. Honestly, like you said, Des, they're just fighting each other for kills now, and that's when teams get particularly difficult to beat, because they're playing for fun and they're just like racing each other to try and get them, and the confidence is high. It's going to be all up to Highs here, and I don't think there's very much he can do. He's playing into a shield, he's playing into utility. There's 3 spread out ahead of him. He's super low health. Diffuser down.
Hate this.
It is stacked up against him.
It's a good way to just make you feel super anxious constantly, right? Every single pixel you can see has got a gun being pointed through it at you, because there's all 5 alive, and you Poor old little you holding everything by yourself. You're out of utility, you're out of information, you've got literally nothing but yourself and your own instincts to win some gunfights that can't quite find the head. And behind, it's another potentially torturous 30 seconds. One inside a lobby, one out on Mez, one out towards library stairs, one in library itself. What are you going to do except get shut down and give TSM the flawless round?
This is going to be a similar situation to that Airstream game in that TSM are coming in here and absolutely destroying FURIA on their own map choice. We then go into Cafe, where TSM does unbeaten in 7. FURIA fans have got to be panicking right now.
I said this at the start, you know, given how TSM played before and given how the series went last time round we saw them play, yes, it came down to lots of what I'm calling now big hero plays out of TSM. You know, an ace coming in from Achieved, a 4K from Merc, a 4K from Bolo across 3 rounds, basically won the game for them. But you've just seen TSM go from strength to strength. They've really awakened into the tournament, it feels like. And at this stage, to be that awake, well, you've already had your warm-up today, Tim. You've had NIP. What a great scrim team that was for them to get warmed up ready for the game against FURIA.
It was very nice of them, wasn't it?
It was such a nice team. Saying, yeah, here you go. Be ready to play against FURIA. They're here to play, but so far it's only TSM that have really logged into the server.
That's it, FURIA struggling to show up so far. I wouldn't necessarily count on it being all one-way traffic when we come to Cafe. You know, FURIA are capable of...
Well, they'll start on defence, don't forget, as well.
You know, they'll do well. They're capable of putting a fight up anywhere at this team. They've shown us that. And if you remember, Des, the one thing that I've said about FURIA is they don't know when they're beaten. It doesn't matter what the score is. They could be 6-0 down now. And believe me, this team would still, in their minds, 100% believe we can go and win this. It's not a problem. And so that mindset will continue into Cafe.
They've got a small change up here in the DKB and the Lion being brought along, acknowledging, you know what, we're losing in the early round. We're just losing these 1v1 gunfights. It's crippling us for the mid to the late round. Of course we can't win. So if we have to sacrifice some late round utility in favour of bringing along the Lion and the DKB to get the job done, you're going to do it. What makes me a little bit nervous was in those prior rounds, they did bring a lot of very information-heavy picks, right? They had the Twitch, they had the Iana. There was a third one that Miracle was playing that I'm completely blanking on the thought of, but it was all very focused towards information collection, and that still didn't help them. I don't know if this is going to be the go-to fix, but I'm glad to see they're willing to change things up and at least try it.
I like the castle pick here from TSM. I think it's something that is going to frustrate FURIA even further. It's going to make their life more difficult. And if TSM pick up an opener, I think they're in for a serious problem. We're going to see some attention being paid from the Solarium side to bring things out. Gio's just going to need to... Sorry, it's going to be Merc actually on the castle. Needs to be careful just how aggressive he gets.
I knew it was going to catch you.
Right out.
The funny thing is, I was looking down the lineup and just thinking they've literally all changed roles. Achieved is playing on the smoke.
You got a castle.
Bolo's back on entry. Gio's going into Bolo's old role. Like, what are they doing? It's constantly changing. Either way, it's a good start for FURIA as you hear those phones ringing out. Imagine if all of our phones sounded like that when they rang, Tim. It would be horrific.
Just that vibration.
Oh my God, please stop. Anyway, the entry comes in onto Bolo, so he will not be climbing that 13 count any higher in this round, and potentially no further in the map if TSM can come out on top, but a 4 versus 5 is not necessarily the best scenario to be in when there is still 90 seconds to play, and 2 frags in the back of High's back pocket.
Gio just taking a little peek. Oh, look at this aggressive from Merc. Beautiful to take Lender off the rappel and clear out Solarium. Chalet gets a nitro, and all of a sudden we find ourselves 3v3. Here comes FURIA though, getting aggressive, pushing in, and they've taken the top floor. TSM managed to drop themselves away. It's kind of well played from them. They've wasted 2 minutes top floor, and they've got away with 3 lives. Not the end of the world, but still lots of work for them to do. As FURIA, they're about to start piling the pressure on, but the one thing I'm noticing, Des, there's no destructive capability for them.
They're going to have to push their way down the north stairs here, I imagine. Yes, they've got the drop in the hatch if they want it, but that's just so one-directional. It's why normally you'll have someone vaulting in through the trophy window and looking to come pushing down from there whilst you play in from above. But right now, no one's giving that angle of pressure. You've got Miracle looking out towards West Main. Fantasy is now moving his way down the solar stairs like we thought he might. So they've slowly got themselves squared up. You know, one to the north, one on the hatch. You've got Miracle playing to the west. It's a good idea. Miracle getting 1, getting 2. Absolutely huge coming in. Charla in a big clutch position here has got to hold down against 3 as the plan's starting to get stuck here. Can they do absolutely anything about this one? They have the longer angle. Fantasy finds it. Well played by FURIA. They took their time. They got the strong positions and came out on top.
Just keep in mind what I said about FURIA at the beginning of that round. And that is that they are a team that don't always know when they're beaten. And they managed to get themselves around there. Successful attack onto Kitchen, and it was better from them, Des. They come up against obstacles, but they found ways around them. Despite not being able to get any vertical action, for example, they still managed to find their way into sight to get those kills. Clash.
Is Achieved a Clash player?
I was going to say we're about to find out, but unfortunately...
I cannot think of a single time where he's ever played Clash. I was going to say, surely that doesn't stick, and hopefully FURIA read into the same. We've seen him on the Oryx already a couple of times in this half, so not surprised to see it coming out here as well. We've spoken quite a bit about Oryx, haven't we, lately, where it's less really a focus towards hopping up hatches and looking to be problematic in that way, but more for things like site rotates. You can do without a shotgun if you really choose. Not that they'll do without one here. They've got Chalet playing on the smoke, but normally you want a couple of shotguns for the site setup, the rotations you've got to open. Oryx helps to fill that, and the reason why you don't care about smashing your head through a few plasterboards is, of course, you've got the Thunderbird on site. Can juice yourself back up to full HP, then get out in the map on a roam.
I would likely say that this round is going to come down to gunfights, Des. We saw this defender back in round 7. It was TSM's first round. Merc and Achieved held down the top floor, got themselves a couple of kills, and just made it very difficult for FURIA to progress through the map. And that's why I say it's likely to come down to those same situations. Achieved on the Oryx, Merc on the Malusi. I think we'll see them both up on the top floor again. Achieved is already there to begin with. Merc has now joined him, and they're going to try to hold on in a similar way. FURIA, if they can get in and win those gunfights, they probably win the round. If not, then maybe not. I think that's what it's all going to come down to, is this battle over top floor.
So what you're saying to me, Tim, is if you win your gunfights, you win rounds?
Win your gunfights, win the round. Not always the case. You play objective, you can do many other things.
Yeah, but
I think this round is going to pivot on it.
Still got to win your gunfights, though.
If they come about. If they come about.
If there's a 5v5 plant, there is something very, very wrong going on in the game, is all I'll say, Tim. Let's see, though. You've got Achieved holding up on the upstairs. A couple looking to now press down onto the library window, or the library hallway window, I suppose I should say. Mark, hammering away on those digits on his phone. Saying to KB, no, reject call, get off. Keeping himself quietly tucked away at least for a few more seconds. No mute onside this time round does, of course, mean they can't just sit on top of those jammers and get the calls cancelled off. They do all need to press no, otherwise, after 18 seconds, they will automatically disable. Remember when they were unlimited before? That was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, your phone would literally keep ringing.
When you're the roamer and you can't put your gun down, it's just frustrating. You just can't do a thing about it.
You can now, of course, also run through. It's not prevalent here because there's no mute, but you can run through a mute jammer as well.
You can indeed. It's a hot favourite. Not enough people know that. I'm glad that you do, Tim.
Oh, there you go.
Knew you wouldn't let me down.
People can take that one away with them. Just run through a mute jammer and it cancels the call off. FURIA, they are starting to build some pressure from this rear side. They've got plenty of time here. They're looking to open trench wall. They're opening the wall bottom of West Main as well, just to try and get themselves that long angle into connector. So Gio needs to be careful because he could find himself challenged from there. Pillars is clear, which is actually good for FURIA. They don't have to clear anybody out from there. So that could be a little bit of a bonus for them, but they might not know, Des, because they've only got 2 drones left.
They've chewed their way through those incredibly quickly, given there's a whole execute still to really get set up for here and actually pull the trigger on. They're going to rely on the line. A great shot coming in from Gio. Finds Rez Noggin. Down he goes. Another one pulled through to the north side hatch. C4 coming out, but shut up by Highs. That C4 won't go off. A smoke does as Chalet tries to hold on towards the side once more. Lender's going to find Merc. A 4v3. It's looking good for FURIA, Tim, until Achieve balances back. Trade out it again by Miracle. It's just blow for blow for blow continuously between these two teams.
Chalet and Gio are in the right places to try and stop this plant going down, but Gio needed to hold on for as long as possible, really. He gets closed out, as does Bolo, leaving Chalet all alone. 2v1, and now it could be a little game of cat and mouse as FURIA try to get in and get this diffuser. Chalet's just going to plant his feet while the E1D goes off, and FURIA take that as an opportunity to move across and grab the case. They're going to go in for the plant. The cover is there, and that's why I was talking about that angle, Des. If you've got it opened up, you shut down connector. Simple for Miracle. A little bit tense for FURIA, but they got the job done. 4-6 now, and they are on the comeback trail.
Good throwback here to the old days of Lion and DeKB ruling the roost, right? God, they've been absolutely obnoxious so far. The call's coming out, just giving enough information over to the side of FURIA. Lion at the right time there, pausing Chalet in his tracks. Otherwise, he gets across and towards connector before they're fully set up. So really good job there by Fantasy to hold on to that so late into the round and use it so effectively at the perfect moment. Bar and Gaming, we step into next. At this point, TSM have got every single site available to them and can pick to choose wherever they want to go, given the last couple have not gone the way that they would have liked. This could potentially be a big 6-2 comeback team if this carries on. We almost saw it earlier on today. And it starts to feel like maybe it's on the line once again. If TSM lose this, I think we really need to see a tactical timeout and they go for broke through something a little bit different.
Yeah, that's it. They've got to do something to take the wind out of Furia's sails, and if that can't be winning the round, then yeah, you're sort of thinking you've got to just take that pause at that point and try and recenter, because they're going to be feeling a little bit beaten up. The thing is, we've got to remember this is one of Furia's top maps. It is one that we don't see TSM on very often, and so it's easy to get it into your head that, you know, this is why we don't play Chalet. This is going to be a problem now. So TSM, they're going to be defending Bar and Gaming for round number 11. If FURIA win here, they will have the opportunity to lock it up at 6-6 and go into overtime. And it really gives us a game. And given that, I keep saying this, we're on Cafe for map 2. TSM have won it the last 7 games that they've played it on. You really feel like FURIA need to take this map.
I do think they do, yeah. If they get this one over the line, then I think going all the way to 3, FURIA are actually with a pretty good shot of taking out the series. If this falls by the wayside, I'm very nervous going into Cafe. Let's not count them out, though. We've already seen potentially incredible comebacks. We've seen 2, actually, in the last series of the day earlier on. 6-3 scorelines, only for the other side to swing things all the way back. And both NA teams in the form of SSG and... who else played? Remind me.
Sonics.
Sonics, that's the one. It was in my head at the start.
Na'Vi and Sonic.
You know when you like open your mouth and start talking, you know what you're going to say, then you get to that point in the sentence to say it, and the names have just disappeared.
You just get there too quickly. You're too far ahead of you.
It's so weird. So weird. I knew it was Sonic, I promise.
Well, we're holding on to Mezzanine for the time being with Geo in the background as well. Just trying to hold on to that top floor for as long as possible. Lender, look at this. The pressure coming in from FURIA. Very quickly getting aggressive towards Library. They force Geo to drop away, who is this time on the castle des, so there will be no confusion for Miko's there. Nope. Geo moving back across onto that operator. E1D scan is going to lock Bolo in place, and pressure is mounting on him. Whilst he's still got, it's beautiful. Whilst he's still got Merc at the top of blue stairs, Bolo should be able to stay here. But as soon as one of these get pushed away, it's trouble for the other.
He did draw a nade coming in from the office balcony from Highs, who then bailed away for a quick second. He's trying to find the longer angle to someone through onto sides itself, as they have chewed through time. Merc finding Miracle to get things off, almost loses his life, but somehow slips away with 5 HP. Fantasy finally striking and getting the shutdown. Chased him down, finds a second. He is awakened! It's a 3rd kill for Fantasy in the round, who refuses to let FURIA fall by the wayside at 4 versus 2 as the Lion Scam rings out once again. Surely TSM cannot hold on, make it a quad, Tim. He wants to go for broke and find all 5.
He really is looking for it. Rare's got himself in and is getting that diffuser down. This is Fantasy's kill, surely! And that's the ace that say that FURIA just don't have the good grace to know when to actually do that, to show just how difficult it can be to beat them.
Just really smart play as well. Every single challenge that stood up before him, he was just ready and totally on the money. Either way you look at it, TSM, they're going to try it again, and they've really got to think of something different here, Tim. Because last time round, it was Fantasy walking through and taking down all 5. It's very rare that lightning strikes twice, but they are going to be pumped after these last 3 rounds.
Funny that you should say that about Fantasy Des, because it wouldn't be the first time that he's
I understand, came in. Yeah, I heard he's done a back-to-back ace, he's that good, all right.
Wouldn't be the first time.
How many kills did he drop that map? 26, was it?
I think so, yes. It was high 20s.
Something ridiculous.
He got a 4K in another. He had 14 kills in 3 rounds, in 3 of the rounds.
Just ludicrous, right?
He had a 4K later on.
Imagine being 1 kill shy of having 3 perfectly flawless rounds.
Absolutely ludicrous talent. Absolutely ludicrous. I remember, if you just to give everybody a little trip down memory lane before we get into the meat of the action here. Do you remember SI21 when the Brazilians arrived in France and the whole of the timeline was like, right, EU ranked is not safe anymore. Fantasy's ridiculous.
That's kind of kicked off a little bit this weekend again, because obviously all the pros are here. So in their downtime yesterday, we're playing a bit of EU ranked.
Yep.
And not a lot of people are having fun against big, massive death stacks of pros just saying, yeah, well, it's a relax, boys, to be honest. Oh, here's a quick 3-0. It's just horrible, mate.
Just not safe. And right now, TSM can't be feeling very safe, Des. They've lost 4 rounds in a row now to be brought back. No, sorry, 3 it is, bringing them back from 6-2 to 6-5. One more will do the job for FURIA. TSM are trying to hold on to Bar and Gaming. They didn't manage it last time around. They've got a very similar setup. I think they've got Geo inside a library, and then you've got Merc Blue Stairs, you've got Bolo on Mezzanine. It is pretty much exactly the same thing. We were saying they might need to change things up a little bit. The operators have changed. They don't have the castle this time. So that side of things, yes. Positioning, no.
It's very, very passive, right? They want to be incredibly defensive here. Don't want to go losing out in the map. They've realized the line and the DKV are a problem. Those 2 picks, everything has changed since they were introduced into this game. TSM just unable to deal with them effectively. Still no mute on side, of course, to help with that. They're leaning instead in towards the utility drain. Merc finding one. The thing is, Tim, I don't get too excited about that anymore because I've already seen what FURIA can do 3 rounds in a row.
Well, this is the thing. It was exactly the same last time. Merc onto Miracle for the opener. It didn't stop FURIA. It didn't stop this man, Fantasy. He knows that Bolo's playing in behind there. He's just going to bypass the shield. He's looking for the angle. Surely Bolo wins it this time. Shuts down Fantasy, and this could be the one for TSM. The tack pause might have given him everything that they needed. Rhea somehow manages to get right on top of Bolo before he hears him and finds the kill. Geo trying to fight his way out of library. Nitro goes over the top. Lender gets Charler. It's going absolutely wild here, Des. Geo, he's going to drop himself back to site. FURIA 3v3 and really pressuring TSM now.
It kind of pauses for this brief moment here, though, where you've got 10, 20 seconds before the executor's got to come in. FURIA have already shown in this half how they can use time effectively to get the information they need and go for a close. Merc with 1, Merc with 2, a big 3K in the round. It's down to Highs, who's had a mediocre performance, is the only way you can call it. Not quite hitting the highs that we've seen before. 4 kills to his name. He's got to almost double the count in this round by getting 3 more. 20 seconds to play with here. Diffuser not in hand. He wants to try and play for these kills by the looks of it. But Tim, they're going to hold the cross here. They're just going to wait for him. I don't think he's going to find much. A nade not going to be anywhere near Merc, who sat down inside a split. This one's going to close out 7-5. FURIA, hearts broken in round number 12. But we get to see what they can do on the defensive half of Cafe after the conclusion of this game.
The clock ticks down and TSM take themselves a hard-fought victory.
Again?
Boy, did they come out of the traps fast there. They were absolutely all over FURIA to begin with. And again, I'm going to give big plaudits to the North American side. They looked lethal. And then FURIA able to just creep their